Welcome to my famous philosopher series. Let's start with the first Greek philosopher, Thales. When natural disasters like earthquakes and floods happened, people would make up random gods and say they angered them for random reasons. These are gods like Zeus and Poseidon. It's mythology. But Thales was the first person that said, no, it might have a scientific reason. And people didn't love this. There are stories that they would make fun of him because he was what we call a nerd and was into science. So he responded by creating the Western world's first monopoly. He used his astronomy skills to predict a very fruitful olive season, and he went out and rented all of the olive presses. You know, those machines that press olives to make olive oil. And when it came time to use them, he charged extra and got rich. By the way, some of my background images are from an AI image generator named Wonder. Now, his scientific reasons for some stuff was pretty whack. Like for earthquakes, he would say it's because our planet is floating on water, and earthquakes are the planet being rocked by waves. So yeah, absolute nonsense. But then again, this is 2,600 years ago, and I think it's revolutionary to at least try to come up with the scientific reasons instead of saying, I don't know, we angered a god because we didn't nene properly. When the Nile flooded, people were like, we've angered Happy, and Thales was like, yo, it might just be the wind, you know? And that's a major step towards the right direction for scientific discovery, and it's why many consider Thales to be the father of Western science. There are some amazing stories and things that he's credited for discovering, like he calculated the height of the pyramids. He waited until his shadow was the same size as him, and he said, okay, at this point in time, the pyramid shadow is going to be the same size as well. Pretty logical. He predicted the solar eclipse of 585 BC, and people aren't exactly sure how he did that. He discovered that the base angles of an isosceles triangle are equal. And then we have the Thales theorem, which says that any angle in a semicircle would be a right angle. He also thought the constellation would be useful for navigating in the sea, and he came up with a geometrical way to calculate the distance of ships from the shore, and some other things. Now these things are amazing, and he is credited for discovering them. And I say credited because this is 600 BC. We don't even have a book that was written by Thales. It's all guesses based on other people's writings. So Thales was a rich guy, and he visited the Egyptians and some say the Babylonians, and he could have easily picked up a lot of this during his visits. You know, kind of like how nowadays people credit Elon for inventing electric cars and space travel, and although he might have been essential for their existence, he didn't actually discover it. And you know how scientists today, like the ones at CERN, are trying to figure out what stuff is made out of? Well, Thales was trying to do that as well, and his final conclusion was that everything is made up of water. That's right, H2O water, and his logical reasoning kind of makes sense for that time. First of all, water is moving by itself, you know, because of waves. Of course, he didn't know about moon's gravity at the time. Second of all, we or other forms of life can't really survive without drinking water. Third of all, water can be a liquid or a gas or a solid, and that's still pretty amazing. And lastly, our body's red juice is made up of water, and even a rock can sweat under the correct circumstances. Now, of course, everything is not made up of water, and what's interesting here again is that he was thinking about how stuff might be made up of other stuff. I really do hope you enjoyed this episode. Like and follow if you want me to continue this series about famous philosophers and their ideologies.